Okay, so you were in mid-flow. Hi there, technical issues, all of that. So we're part 2 now. Over to you, Martin, you were saying.
Yeah. Because I have the location is like really nice, very close to Middleton Center. To Manchester is like 29 minutes because we have fast transport. Also, it's really close to Central Middleton. And also, I wanted to say that you have a lot of new builds coming here. You have new builds coming here. You have new builds here. So basically, this is like a lot of new builds coming, and also this part here. So a lot of the social houses get demolished and built anew. So also, I think this like a flats will be also demolished and built again. And also, you have here social house, and here like a flat. So, and I also already speak about like all of this was a social house, but you can see all of these houses are not social house anymore. All the ones who have blue color core. So all of them are becoming, they're selling and they're not. So now it's around in the data when we will show it, we'll say much more, but as you can see that now social house around 30-40%, not as, because a lot of properties developing. This is like all this, I will just shortly show. I will take this. So basically, all of this part was social houses, but as you can see now, it's a new builds. This new builds up here, you have new builds there as well. So and also half of this location here and half of this location here, they're becoming ex-social houses. So which is good. That's showing that array is developing. So that's also why the property is a little bit cheaper, but also there is a lot of social house. When we spoke about it, you will see that they're selling for 150, 160. I mean, the asking price. So yeah, it just is in the middle of the state. But when we open you the crime and so on data, you will see that it's really low crime. So that's why I choose this property. So maybe, and also I spoke about that. So maybe Nick, you can speak about the condition from viewer,
Sure.
and after we can speak about the capital growth. So.
Okay, and right, so where was I? Yes, so I was just talking about this. So this room, you might be able to get a bed running across or lengthwise, but they've gone for double bed lengthways raised above the boxing, which is the headroom for the staircase. All right, let's go here and let's see what we got. Right, this rear decking, it's going to need some work. I'm just not sure whether it's worth ripping out and redoing or trying to repair. It's quite nice, but it's problematic. Anyway, the point is it's a cost, and I think one should at least bank maybe, depending on how ambitious you are with it, I suspect at least £2,000, i.e. rip out this lot and then put slabs down or concrete down or something. Probably slabs, I would suspect, would probably work better. Yeah, and then have paved areas.
In the fence, you can see some holes, so you need to repair that as well. So.
On a positive note, they've put wood treatment on the fence, so the fence is basically sound, which is good. Yeah. And anyway, I would be inclined to take up the wooden decking and put concrete slabs down, which are relatively cheap. This all needs to be tidied up. It's just the drains are blocked with gunk, but nothing major. Okay, this is a leak somewhere, but the catch with a picture like that is you don't know where the leak is. This looks to me like
in the roof.
It's a roof issue, but to me, it doesn't actually look serious. It's just moisture probably staining it, but the roof is good. Here's the plasterboard. I like it when I see cracks like this because it just tells me that it's plasterboard, not plaster or lath. generally these kind of cracks occur because somebody is walking around upstairs in the loft. The roof joists aren't strong enough to take a heavy weight. They walk them down. The thing that goes is the seam, and that's what that's about. I suspect there was a leak up here, and the area just got a bit damp, but I don't think it's a problem, or I'd be very surprised if it was. Okay, let's have a look at the videos because the real meat is in the videos. Put you in the corner there, Martin, so you're able to see. And it will play eventually, I hope. It's just being a bit slow. Come on. I'll just close that and I'll try again. All right, and I'll close this and let's try that again. Okay, something's kind of happening. It'll get there in the end, probably. Actually, whilst this is just thinking about it, I'm going to don't know why it's being so slow. It's usually not like this.
We don't have live today.
Today is a technical issues day. All right. I want to just talk briefly about the capital growth, the crime, and all that stuff. There's very little crime. That's the first thing to say. So I'll make it bigger so you can see it and make it full screen. There's very little crime around here. Very, very little.
And a lot of social houses, which shows that they're okay. Maybe elderly people.
Yeah, well, the demographics show that it's definitely an older area. So this is fairly typical. Now, bear in mind, the census was done 12 years ago and the average age 48. What that tells me is that a lot of the people that lived here or grew up here effectively. So they would be in their 70s, 80s, that kind of thing, a large proportion. And of course, they're dying off now and people new people are coming in. So it's just a very stable area in that respect. But again, a lot of local authority housing. But that's okay because it's
the property is cheaper.
It's just a nice area. Okay, let's go back to the condition thing. And again, that flooring looks good. It's amazing how estate agency pictures make a property feel big, but that's the power of wide angle lenses for you. Oops. Double glazing looks good. This is a very up together property.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Certainly from a condition point of view, it's very sound. And you just know that properties like this, because they're well built in the first place with good bricks, good damp proofing, proper plasterboard, all of that, it all bodes well. Yep. There've been the odd leak and a few other issues over the years. You can see in the ceiling back in the living room. That hob is relatively new because it's an induction one. Space for 2 appliances underneath, so I guess washing machine, fridge, and you might be able to even squeeze a large fridge in there. Anyway, so we've got that thing, and that all looks okay. There's our outhouse. I suppose the benefit of an outhouse is that if you shelve it up, you've got storage, and it's pretty solid. It's a concrete roof and whatever, so that's a good thing. The real cost in this property, the real single cost, should I say, is going to be sorting out this backyard, I would say. You could probably get away with just like tidying it up, but I'm inclined to think you're better off.
Maybe you can just rent it out.
Replacing it. Well, yeah. Let's just have a look back here again. I'm just looking for structural, anything structural. Oh, it all looks absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks fine. The bricks above the windows have been replaced probably when the windows were put in.
On the left, the entrance in them, because it's terrace house and in between houses it's happening.
Yeah, And
Those-
that's been fenced off as well, which is a good thing. The benefit of these concrete tiles is if they ever break, then they're easy to replace because they're not actually pinned in. You just slot another one in. And not much to say, really. It all looks fine. There's your damp-proof course. So that brick, that row of bricks, the different color ones, that's your above the damp-proof course. And then you got what's below the damp-proof course, I think. Anyway, that all looks absolutely fine.
Yep.
Gutters look fine. Everything just looks fine. Good. All right. This is the perfect property, by the way, in many respects. And the reason is that a first-time buyer will not want to spend the extra money doing it up. They would rather, oh, nice, fairly modern consumer unit. That's good. They would rather put the money that they might invest in renovation into more mortgage. So that carpet looks okay. Bit of something going on at the bottom of that wall, but I think that's quite interesting. So there's some kind of junction here. There's something in there, and they've put this panel on to access it. So it's probably a troublesome bit of plumbing. I think one of the issues of this property is that it probably had not the very best plumbing, and therefore they've had leaks. And this looks like an old cupboard for an immersion tank. There's a good example of how you could just enlarge the space by getting rid of that redundant room or blocking up that door and using the door on the other side. That's wooden clapperboard, okay? You might keep that wooden clapperboard. If it doesn't really need to be changed, then why change it? There's that double bed.
It's okay, I'll keep it.
Right, so you have to have it this way. That room isn't usable any other way because you don't have the width with the door to the wall, and so anyway, that's fine. It is what it is. It's a usable third bed, assuming that you have an elevated bed. And again, you've got this clapperboard stuff.
I think I will just match all the carpets.
Bit of condensation on that double glazing. If you look there, you can see it at the bottom of the center panel. There's some moisture. It's not an expensive job to do. It's like £200 maybe. But it's a case of just unclipping the existing. You can essentially pop that window out. I assume that that's gone. It looks like it's gone, or it's very dirty. I don't know which. Probably gone. Low pile kit carpet, but it's in good condition and it's got a neutral color.
Yeah.
And we've got that issue with that crack in the middle. Again, I'm not too concerned about it. It just needs plenty of painting and decorating. So far, I would say you're in the kind of £8,000 to £10,000 range if you want to do it well. Just to say that loft hatch is one of these ones which has a little lock in it. You twist the thing with a key. It's like a long stick, and then you've got a ladder that pops out. So it makes it quite a usable space.
Yeah.
It's a very nice road.
Yeah.
Actually. And you see you've got parking adjacent. You can park in your own little patch on the in front of the house.
But I will just clean it, make it more nice. So yeah, it's have for 2 parking at least, so that's good.
It's all very nice. Okay. With some, but it does need 8 to 10 grand in it. Okay, now talking of money, let's have a look at the capital growth story here. for those of you who watch any of these videos, you'll know that I'm really very interested in the in a combination of the reward and the risk, because if you cover your risk, then you know you've got yourself covered one way or the other. And I've changed some of the metrics because I find that well, I hope it'll be more helpful. So let's just talk through some numbers here. Now, this is the latest Office of National Statistics data. It's up to September 21. And the upshot is that it has seen huge growth recently, but you'll get a lot of that from people selling off or buying houses from local authority and then reselling on the open marketplace. So thus they see huge capital gain. And that affects the inflation numbers essentially. But these numbers represent inflation adjusted capital gain over the last 4 years, I guess, 3 years. And we can see here from 2009, which is the bottom of the market, the prices have gone up 56%. Now, the thing about the market is it went flat till about 2013-14, and then we started to see the rise of the market and then the boom phase just now. Now, last time around, capital growth was huge, but that's because there were so many properties that were purchased from local authority and resold. So the numbers are quite kind of skewed, let's say. But there was a big capital decline in this area, so 41%, which is huge. And in nominal terms, if you look here, you can see 123,000 down to 79,000. So what this tells me is that in the next crash, there is risk, reasonable risk here. So it's okay if you get it at the right price, but you just need to be aware that if there's a crash and it goes, it's going to go fairly hard. Whereas if you look at this area around here, there was a much smaller crash. So nominally or inflation adjusted 18% decline over that period of time. Nominally, it was much less. So you would say it was 11%. So in other words, you would have seen an 11% decline on the value of the property from peak to bottom of the market, which doesn't sound like a whole lot. But over here, it was a much bigger decline. So it was 36%. So I'm just saying, be aware. Now, the good thing is that if you buy at this time in the cycle, you should be okay. And all the other signs are very positive. So the rule of thumb is the more red it looks, the better. So it means it grew well, it crashed well, it's growing again well. So for example, this area here has done much better overall. And I would be inclined to say generally that if I was to follow any capital growth pattern, it would be this one, because these areas are more balanced than this one. This one has a lot of odd issues because it is so intensely local authority.
This is just because it's a lot of local authority, and also it's just because it have a lot of new builds. So I'm not worried. If it wasn't new build, I will be worried. But because of a lot of new builds, I think it's totally fine.
I agree. Broadly, I agree. And also, I would take my reference off this. So sorry if I went around the houses and back a little bit, but that's the short of it. And I'll just do a very quick thing. If you haven't seen this before, property markets go in cycles, 1845 to now. Red arrow represents a distinct cycle, 9 of them. This is number 10, arguably. So here we are here. And arguably, the way it's worked out is that you had the crash, you had a very slow, you had a crash over 2 years, you had a flat period for basically 5 years, and then you had a little blip, which would be 2018, that kind of thing, and now we're in the boom. And more stuff to just validate that whole story and so on. So the upshot is it's very strong. It represents relatively good value. And overall, Manchester is just a huge growth area. it doesn't feel too overbought to me. And typically what happens is towards the end of the property cycle, people are searching for value, so they make more compromises. And a compromise here is buying an ex-local authority house. And I think it's a reasonable compromise because actually it's a very reasonable house. Over to you, Martin, on valuations.
Share my screen. Yeah. So yeah, I was just zooming. This is our property. You can see similar 160. This is newer build. This was auction 150, but this is 2 bedroom. I just want to add the tree. We don't need to. So 150. This is basically the same house, same type of house, 160. So I really don't know why they're asking for one.
Well, it's a marketing strategy, that's why.
Yeah,
they're trying to create an auction.
So I think the real value is 155, 160. So that's my opinion. So if you want to go for this property, you need to go like 155 at least.
I would say creeping towards 160.
Yeah.
But I think the purpose of this is to just like conclude on what we think it's worth. So with yield and so on, we'll have a look now.
So let's say that 155. I'm saying 155 plus 10K, that's 165.
Mm-hmm.
6.2. And if you go, because it will around 850, and if you go by 160 plus 10K, 170, 6% yield, which is also nice. This is also a good yield property, ex-social house, looks okay condition. It just needs some, and I think what I analyzed, what you notice, I think this also gives a water issue to the room because that room is here, should be here.
Possibly, yeah.
And also and also when I go on the this from 2014, and you can see this on the roof. This 2014, the street view.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they had some issue with the roof, which need to be double checked. But anyway, if the roof, I don't think that the roof needs to change. Maybe it just need to repair something. But
the roof is good. The roof will last another 100 years because those concrete tiles are really tough, and they just.
2008, you see it had, but in 2014 it become much larger. And now on photos I cannot see. So well, there is some just little bit. So maybe the roof needs to be just cleaned.
Yeah, there was probably some issue like this, but the fundamentals of the house are really good, and this is the important thing. This is a totally different proposition to, say, a 1890s terraced house built on bad bricks that had to have retrospective, I won't go on about it. The point is, it's a good house. So, all right then. Sorry this video wasn't as slick as usual, technical issues, etc. But hey, the assessment was well considered, I would say.
To score it.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Sorry, I was just in La La Land today.
Yeah, it's okay. So
I do have the scores ready on the doors. So we've changed the system a little bit, and the way we're doing it now is we've got a ranking because we have so many of these assessments. We can have a ranking system. So, all right, condition, not great. I would give it a 3, but it's fundamentally good. So, in fact, I would give it a 3.2. It's like, if you get past the damp and the other bits and bobs, it's not serious damp. It's not rising damp. It's a good little house.
The location, I will go for. It's not the best just because of the social house a lot. But you have a lot of new builds. You have really close market, like 3 minutes walking. You have schools around and so on. So basically everything's fine with the location.
Okay, area?
Not the best.
3.7. Okay. Prime is actually very good. It's low. Demographics, it's not on the. To me, it's a 3.8. It's like it's good, solid working people. It's not a wealthy area or anything like that. but it's the kind of place where if somebody is looking for a bit of value and they're just solid working types, they just want to get on with it, then it's great. And we know this because the crime is low. So it's a nice neighborhood. And
yeah, I think the crime is better. It's 4.5 because the crime compared to, yeah.
But this isn't a prestigious neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a decent neighborhood. And
Yeah.
that's why, yeah, capital growth is pretty good. I'm not going to give it a, well, I'm going to go 4 in capital growth.
Yeah, 4.1.
It has some risk. It has some risk because of the extent of the local authority housing, but it's on the better side of the area. So if you go west, it's got too much social or local authority housing go east, and actually get demographics improve. And it's on the better side of the fence from demographics. So thus growth is going to be okay. It'll sell quickly, of course. It'll rent quickly, of course. Yield, what is it on yield, in your opinion?
It's around, it's more than 6, so I think it's really good. I think 4.5. Because finding in Manchester property which have good yield is hard. So
yeah, so it's got a decent score, 4.1. That means that it gets 69 out of 100, which is good. So if it was 100 out of 100, it would be the best scoring thing we've got, and obviously 0, it would be the worst scoring thing. But just to say, it doesn't take much. Like here's 3.59, and in percentile terms, it's not that different to this, but because the property has been viewed and all of that, we've processed it and we've filtered stuff. So generally the scores are always going to be quite tight in terms of like best to worst. And anyway, this scores well. And for final assessment, yeah, nice property, good overall condition at a fundamental level. You say nice location, looks good. And just seems to be a nice quiet neighborhood where people just want to settle in, have a family, do their thing, pay their rent and get on with it. So, all right, now final comment on how much one should offer on this.
Yeah, because you already spoke with the agent. So up to 160, the yield still will be 6. So
yeah,
I will go up to 160. And I cannot tell you how much you can go, because yeah, but I think you need to start at least 150. But I will think you will not have chances. With 155, you will have chances to take it. 160, I guess you can take the property.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, so what's happening is everyone's lowballing the offers. So they use 135 as a guide, and therefore you're probably finding there's a bunch of offers around the 140, 145 mark. But the real price, as Martin has shown you, based on the data we've got, is very different. And the other question is it a low risk acquisition? Well, if you go above 160, you still get some yield out of it. And just by the nature of the capital growth cycle, towards the end of the cycle, you always get more interest in slightly compromised properties. So, and the odds are that if it does, when it does crash, because you know property markets and cycles, I don't think it'll crash that hard, because it's a fundamentally decent property in a decent area that people will want to live in and represents value even in a big recession or a big downturn. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.